July has definitely started circular at Green Exchange, and we're still hungry. Today we talk about cooperation.
The password, please.
Well, not that kind of cooperation. More like voluntary cooperation, collaboration, working together.
We've got a better chance of survival if we work together. You understand?
We touched on this earlier in the series, but I think it's time to dig deeper and work out some guidelines. You're listening to Green Exchange, Circular Economy in Practice, Episode 7. Cooperate or die.
Wow, really? Cooperate or die?
Whoa, who is this?
Surprise!
Helene, good to have you. I like that you're coming on the show more often.
Yeah, I thought you'd appreciate the company.
I do.
So you were saying cooperate or die?
Yes, let me explain. Of all species, Helene, the Homo sapiens became the most powerful on the planet. Have you ever thought about that?
The most powerful? Like even over cockroaches?
Yeah. Yes, and I can prove it actually. The International Union for Conservation of Nature maintains a red list of endangered species, and we humans are ranking last on that list. So, what does that mean?
We rule the planet?
We dominate, baby.
That's right.
Don't mess with us, you dolphins.
Yeah, not sure how proud we should be about all that.
You're right. Let's calm down and think about this. It's a good thing to meditate from the golf course.
Yeah, in between two swings.
Look around and ask yourself, how did we get to that level of domination of our environment?
Well, I'm interested actually. How on earth did we get this pathetic?
Yeah, well, experts are still busy agreeing on the details, but there are a few conclusions we can draw. Should I tell you the story?
Well, that's what we're here for.
There's a fascinating man called Yuval Noah Harari.
Yuval Noah Harari?
Right. And this fascinating man writes fascinating books. One of them is called Sapiens. It explains how the Homo sapiens came to dominate other species to end up where we are today. Homo sapiens go way back. Actually, it's the most recent evolution of the genus Homo, but still, we're talking about more than 150,000 years ago. I think you were not born, Helene.
Yeah, you might be right about that.
So let's rewind to 150,000 years ago. There is archaeological evidence of Homo sapiens back then. Their brains were the same size as we have today. Even a bit larger, actually.
Yeah? They were probably way smarter then.
Yeah, we had a lot more hair, though, overall.
Moving on.
Right. At this point, we were clustered in East Africa, and we were living at the same time as other human species such as Neanderthals and the Homo erectus. Basically cohabiting. Nothing fancy happened. Picking berries, eating mushrooms, normal life with the crew. Until 70,000 years ago. This is when we began to observe a real rise to power. The Homo sapiens started taking over. It starved to extinction all the other species around.
Wow.
We started dominating everyone, including our bros, the Homo erectus, that had been around for over 1.5 million years. Can you imagine?
1.5 million? How did that happen?
Well, Harari talks about an evolutionary flash, a superpower that was given to the Homo sapiens by evolution. And that superpower was...
Come on, don't drag it out.
Can we get a drum roll? Yeah, that will do. So, that superpower was the ability to cooperate in very large numbers.
Cooperation.
Yes. Other species could cooperate as well, but only up to a few dozens, like animals do. We started cooperating in hundreds, and then in thousands, millions. And today, if you think about it, we cooperate in billions.
Yeah, that's true.
So how did this become possible? Because it's not instinct. We don't have an instinct for cooperating on a large scale.
Right, for sure.
This ability to cooperate had to be based on imagination. Harari says that we can cooperate with large numbers of strangers only if we believe in the same fictional stories. Fictional stories such as, this tribe is trying to take our land, we should kick their ass. Or, this is the religion that will give you peace and protection. Follow it and pray to this God, not that one. Or, this is the man to vote for, because he's going to protect us from this happening.
That sounds familiar.
Right? Or stories such as, circular economy is the next mega trend and we need to make it happen before we run out of resources.
This is super interesting.
It's this ability to follow a same vision and to cooperate around it that gave us the chance to dominate on a large scale. And I will stop here on the evolution part and all the stories around it, because I would really like you to read that book, Helene, or listen to Harari. His work is fascinating, and you're probably going to understand many things about the world we live in and about yourself as well.
All right. Yeah. I can't wait to check it out.
We put a few links on the episode page to the book, to a podcast where Harari was invited. And yeah, check it out.
So the point you're trying to make here is that cooperation is the core of how we humans operate, is it?
Yes, and we tend to forget how important it is.
Cooperate or die. Now I get it.
Back to circular economy. I talked to someone who works with cooperation every day. Her name is Annika Rosing. She's heading a department at the Nordic Council of Ministers, the Nordic Cooperation. And together we discussed the role that international cooperation can play in helping drive sustainable production and consumption. So, in short, countries working together towards a circular economy, what are the challenges and opportunities?
Let's have a listen.
Okay, Annika, I pushed the recording button, so now is the official start of the interview. You cannot escape anymore. Just to set the stage before we dive in, Nordic countries consume way too many resources, way too many planets, and we have only one. Fortunately, the Nordic Council of Ministers is on the case. Or?
We have a large footprint, and we need to find ways to reach a more sustainable production and consumption. And I think all the Nordic countries agree on that this is one of the challenges for the Nordic countries as such.
Okay, good. So sustainable production and consumption is an important focus point in Nordic countries.
Yeah.
SDG 12 for the SDG nerds out there. So zooming into cooperation now, I'd like to ask you, why do Nordic countries cooperate?
I think it's several different things. One is the geography. We're close, or sort of close, and we are in the outskirt of Europe. Secondly, we are all 5 very small countries in a global context. And then thirdly, we have a similar welfare system and a similar system when it comes to taxation, etc. So I think it's many different things that enable us to work together. But it's important to mention that we have been constantly in war with each other for many hundreds of years until like, I think the last war was in the end of 1700. So, I mean, we have a history of constantly fighting with each other, and then finally, after hundreds of years, realizing that it's much better for all of us if we cooperate.
Oh, yeah? Cooperation is more productive than war? We should tweet this to a few people, no?
No.
Okay, so the factors you mentioned are geography, a common welfare and taxation system, neighboring cultures, and the fact that you are small countries that cannot always face globalization alone.
There also has to be a good idea, a reason, a win-win kind of context for a strong cooperation to start.
Are you going to take Scotland if they break free from the UK? Okay, moving on. I'm going to play the devil's advocate for a minute. Aren't Nordic countries competing with each other on global markets? Isn't it a little bit like, we cooperate in theory, we smile together to the media, but I want the deal with the Chinese?
So when it comes to export initiatives, I think at least the Nordic countries who are so small have a much stronger reason to work together than not working together. But the concept of that we are competing with each other is actually an obstacle, in my point of view. Going out on an international market together, I think that's something that's going to benefit all countries.
Do we see that kind of cooperation on export markets yet, or?
This is my personal comment. I don't think we're really there yet, but hopefully soon.
Okay, so now tell me how the cooperation works in practice in terms of governance, maybe with the example of sustainable development and SDG 12. What's the process like?
The Nordic Council of Ministers is voluntarily cooperation between the Nordic countries, and it's actually not one minister council, it's actually 11. And all decisions are taken in consensus. And when it comes to sustainable development, the Nordic ministers for Nordic cooperation are responsible for that, because it's something that has to be done by all ministerial councils, all other 10. And they have decided that we should put forward within our Nordic strategy for sustainable development, we will put forward a program for supporting the countries in implementing the 2030 agenda. And then we have this not very slow, but maybe complicated hearing process with all the other ministerial councils. So we now have a suggestion for a program that will be decided by the Minister for Nordic Cooperation in September. And when that's decided, we have a budget for a 3-year period, and then we'll go along with starting up the program. And then we have all the different sectors are on board.
Okay, so what I take from this, decisions by consensus, you make program proposals in line with a vision, you go through a hearing process, make sure everyone's in line, maybe a bit of back and forth, but once the program is approved, it is solid because everyone is on board. And that's the beauty of decisions by consensus, no?
Yeah. The good thing with a consensus decision, that's that you have everyone on board. All right, this is what we're going to do. The negative thing with consensus is that it tends to be that the countries that are the least ambitious are the ones that's setting the agenda, if you understand what I mean. It's a solid program, but it's not maybe as ambitious as it could have been.
Yeah, that sounds familiar. So the programs are never really as ambitious as if it was one ambitious country operating alone, of course. Annika, we're going to talk more about cooperation at Green Exchange with a case study or two in the weeks to come. Thank you for passing by and best of luck with SDG 12.
Thank you very much.
You know we'll be paying attention and you're welcome back anytime.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you.
Okay, that was interesting.
Yeah, I think so.
And we should also remember that the principles of cooperation apply not only to that kind of international cooperation, but also to cross-sector cooperation. So, for example, how can the textile sector cooperate with the fishing sector?
Something is coming on that front, Aline.
Yeah, nice plug, right?
Yeah, but you're right. All types of cooperation are important. Cross-stakeholder groups, cross-sector, north-south, etc. There's always some value in cooperation models.
Yeah, guys, remember, this is what got us to where we are today.
You know, we've talked about possibly featuring this case study from the Dutch Circular Economy Roadmap, the one about the Green Deals.
Yes, yeah, I do.
I think we should. It will show a very practical example of how cooperation can make miracles happen.
Yeah, let's do that. I know you have something cooking anyway around the ambitious Dutch Circular Economy roadmap.
Yes. So, to be continued. What else? Well, yeah, we should thank Nordic Council of Ministers for making this episode possible.
Yeah, thank you.
They are very active right now on the front of sustainable production and consumption. And I am looking forward to digging into their upcoming strategies and roadmaps and, you know, being constructively critical.
Constructively critical?
Yeah, although sometimes I like to be just critical. Like, just critical.
Do tell me more.
Just criticizing, you know, sending negative comments, negative energy.
Is that right?
Pointing fingers, judging. You see what I mean? Sometimes, you know, without really understanding. It feels good. It feels really good.
Yeah, I should try that one day. Let off some steam.
It's quite easy, actually.
So you receive an idea or read a report or hear something?
Yes. And you directly start to criticize right off the bat without any context. It's journalism, after all.
All right. I'll keep that in mind. Great tip, Camille.
You're welcome, Aline. Thanks for today. Should we plug anything?
Yeah. Get your friends and colleagues to subscribe. The more noise you make, the more people we can reach. And send us an email. We answer them all.
That's right. Can I close now?
Go for it.
We'll be back soon with more green knowledge, inspiration, and entertainment. Keep up the good work in the meantime.